Good afternoon, this Monday, April 20th. Well, over the weekend, I traveled 720 miles through the western two-thirds of Kansas into eastern Colorado to get a look pictorially of what the wheat crop looks like. Now, keep in mind, this is not a scientific tour where I would have been splitting open heads and trying to make a yield guess. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's about getting a visual appraisal of what's going on out there, given the stories that we're hearing, short wheat heading, and those stories, there are true in some areas where areas of wheat is still reasonably good. Some areas that the rain has to come very soon, or warm temperatures this week. It cools off after that for a while. If she warms up again, no rain, that ground's going to crunch. And so let's get started on it. Just a recap of how I did the trip. Went into Wichita, Kansas, started heading east. Something I will note as we get into videos, I went through Pratt, Kansas, and I saw a lot of heading wheat in this area with cattle in the fields, still grazing, not pulled off. The story I heard on this area is that these $400 calves per pound, $4 pound calves, are worth more grazing this wheat than it is to worry about the yield. And they'll graze long on this stuff and they'll pull it off, lay these calves off later than they would have normally. And if they only end up with a 15, 20 bushel yield, they don't care. It's more of a cover crop than anything in this country. And so I just had found this odd. So this is something the USDA will never catch up onto, maybe a year from now, that a lot of this country, and keep in mind, the rain has been running on a line like this through Kansas. Manhattan has gotten rain, Topeka, this area, they've received rain. It's all about this western two-thirds of Kansas rolling into eastern Colorado, where a lot of all this wheat is grown, and I'll get to that in a moment. And then as we continued on through Dodge City, you're going to find that a lot of this wheat, 8 out of 10 fields, is basically center pivot. They aren't going to even try growing wheat anymore. They're without center pivot. The Garden City, I made a stop here that I'll show you a picture of, two pictures of, first east, both sides of the road, and then on through Garden City. I really started doing the pictorial tour from here, Bristol, Colorado, north of Granada, up through here, got through into Kansas, through Oakley, Kansas, then on to Hays, over to Salina, down into Hutchinson, and then on over to Wichita Falls, where I called it a day or a weekend and flew back home. So let's remind you where I wanted to travel. Again, this is the country, which is the western two-thirds. Granted, Manhattan over here, Kansas has some good wheat, but this is the country turning down through Salina. And to add insult to injury, the forecast for the rains through Saturday the 25th pretty much nixed when they said all kinds of moisture was going to occur here, but have no fear. That's why they sold the Kansas wheat off today. To top it off, we bought some wheat from Poland, of all countries, that we needed it from, right? But this is what causes a fall off, because don't worry, we got some moisture coming for the first of the month, some 11 days out. Of course, these forecasts, no 10 to 14 days aren't so accurate, but it's where it has to come. Because when I get done showing you this tour, this rain has to occur or Kansas is going to fall apart. Because my concern, I didn't realize when I got up the eastern side of Colorado, which, by the way, they don't have any rain through May 1st yet, but it's this country. They have to get rain. That's all there's to it. Or this video I'm going to show you here in a little bit, the crop's going to fall apart. And so let's get to it. Now, the first two shots I'm going to give you is just pictures. I'm going to go into videos. This is kind of reminiscent when you're going through Dodge City and to Cimarron, Kansas. You get a center pivot in the background. The wheat in general looks good, still tillering, still working. But then directly to the north side, you get this short crop. And I learned in the videos that you can't see this, but we're always stooling. There's heads on this wheat. And I apologize on this shot. You can't see it, but this wheat is not stooling. It is already booting. There are wheat heads, and this is a terrible shot. I apologize, but it won't happen in later videos. But there are heads. So we are already, here's another head. You can just kind of see it there. So we're booting. And so rains come here. You're not going to really increase yield too much with the boot being shot. But we are talking out in western Kansas where there's a lot of center pivot. Now, went into Colorado, turned north, and this is north of Bristol, Colorado. Okay, got a video here running for you. And then you can start to see how thin it is. And let's go to the other side of the road. And look at how bad this stuff is. Now, some of this could be, different seed varieties not holding up as well. But you're going to find a lot of this country out there, it's like this. And when you go on the eastern side of Colorado, it's basically corn to wheat, wheat to corn, corn to wheat. Whether they double crop wheat or not, I'm not sure. But this is north of Bristol and a little bit, this is closer to Sheridan Lake, Colorado, of course, north of Bristol. But we're probably, about 30 miles north. And this is what we get again. More of this look. She's pretty thin. I mean, it's still on the tillering stage, but they don't show rain out there for 2 weeks yet. This country needs some rain. If they get heat, this stuff's going to start crunching up. And I kind of zoomed out and you can kind of see the country. It's just wheat and corn stubble, wheat, corn stubble. Look at how patchy that is too. And of course, you go on the other side of the road. It's just more of the same. Wheat and corn stubble. I found these videos were a better way to go than just doing pictures. So now let's move on. We're now east of Cheyenne Wells. You kind of keep going north in Colorado, and you can go east towards Kansas. There's a road, and I took that rather going all the way up to Burlington. I was just going to see more of the same. Now, east of Cheyenne Wells, when I got this, actually is right almost on the border of Kansas and Colorado. And you start seeing a little more improvement in the crop. Still tillering. There was no booting going on yet. Get a little close-up shot here for you. So there's some hope here. But they better get that rain in 2 weeks. Now we're going to move on. We went into Kansas now. We're just in a little ways, about 15 minutes. This is called Sharon Springs, Kansas. And they're getting kind of rough looking in this country. It's thin. It's just tillering. And when I do this, I had a lot of video stops. This is just kind of reminiscent of what you would see in western Kansas as I'm heading to Oakley, Kansas. Not much, no heads showing yet anyway. Now, we get to Collyer, Kansas, and things start getting funky. This wheat is already booting. It's short. We'll zoom in here for you. Do you see the head? Did you see the head there? There's more of it. The videos don't, there's some more right there. There's some more heads there. There's more heads. Okay, I'll get that camera out of there. But she was booting. Now, I'm not quite to Hays, Kansas yet. That's Collyer in the background there. Now, Hays, Kansas starts to fall apart. Now, I'm about 3 miles north of the interstate here. I turned and I wanted to get farther up away from the interstate to get a deeper look, and everything I drove by looked like this. Spots, brown spots, crunchy when you walked on it. Little visual appraisal, getting close for you. Now, that didn't have any boots on this as much, but rain will have to come pretty quick. And that rain that they're trying to throw out there today says end of the month, if she can hold out. Now, Wilson, Kansas. This was just north of the interstate. And what you're going to see here, too, when we get in close, we got heads. You got some heads on this. We're booting. That rain's going to come too late for this. And this is that, you hear about this 8-inch tall wheat that's heading. Well, this was about 8 inches tall. 8, 9 inches maybe. Really short in some spots. Uneven. Bring on the rain. This yield isn't going to jump that much here. Now, the next one is a shock. Now, this is north, well north by Osborne, Kansas. I had this sent by a friend. This is a disaster, and that's the case north of Hays, north of Russell, north of Wilson. It's really bad. I mean, this stuff wants to die. It's like, can I please crawl back in the ground? Can rain save this stuff 2 weeks from now? 80. Oh, and by the way, this had a freeze this morning, got down to 29 degrees, was froze. And this video was taken before the freeze. And now it froze this morning. And this was 29 degrees for a few hours. They'll know in a few days because every day it's 87 degrees now for the next 3 days in this country. I pretty much say this stuff is shot. And that freeze that's coming is not going to help. That did come, and now the heat that's coming is going to finish this stuff off. There. As far as you can see, it's just terrible looking. Now we went south of Salina, Kansas, and this is interesting. Okay, look at this. This is the north side of the road. This was obviously tilled wheat. It's thick, but it's not that tall. And you got the heads that were well beyond boot. We're heading. And this was about 10-inch tall wheat, but it's thick and green yet. That's the difference. This is what the guys are talking about when I said around Salina, Kansas, it's going to be one of the earliest harvests ever. Well, yeah, you can tell here. It's April 20th today. This stuff's going to start turning after this heat this week. It'll start turning here in a couple of weeks. They'll be harvesting in May, when normally this would be way later in June. Now, this is on the north side of the road. This next one, this is on the south side of the road. This is wheat and corn stubble. South side of the road. I literally walked across the highway. And I don't know if you noticed it, there was a center pivot in the background. North side of the road, there is no center pivot. This is the south side of the road, but as one client was telling me, this center pivot probably feeds off of a creek, which is dry right now, so it has not been watered. But obviously you're dealing with nitrogen shortfall here because the corn stubble. And then when I went farther south from Salina, I seen more corn stubble ground that did look pretty rough. So I didn't do anything beyond much farther south of Salina, Kansas, because the wheat in general looked like it should look. It should look okay because that's where the rains have been coming. It's west of this area where everything starts to fall apart. So you've got eastern Colorado, large area of wheat that's not going to do well. And then northern Kansas, where there's not as many center pivots. And most of these poor fields I was showing you, there's no center pivots in sight. This is the wheat that's going to fall apart. There's not even fences around it to even come in and pasture some of this stuff. There are a few, but not mostly. So take of it what you want of this. This proves that the Kansas yield is going to continue to get a lot smaller. But when we're importing wheat from Poland, like we got this morning, does it really matter? I guess you can ask. The chart formations that we had received today, we have now a quadruple top on Kansas City wheat, and then we pulled back on the session and closed lower. We'll see. I'm producing this video and I haven't even seen the crop ratings. I'm sure they're down, and they're going to be down again next week. It's the following week. If that rains come, then maybe we can see some improving of the ratings. But yields are down. The prospects of wheat pricing to continue higher is still there. We go through that quadruple top now in that 660 range on Kansas City July wheat. Be a quick trip to near $7, where we will mark any old crop wheat sales that are owned on paper yet, because I realize the guys in Kansas don't use grain bins. Eastern Colorado, they do. We're going to mark that wheat sold, and then we will heavily sell new crop wheat values. And of course, the way the market's been acting, I'm sure a lot of advisors out there, as I know they are, the big bears, they're selling, not even trying to milk this thing for a better rally. And maybe I'm wrong for that. But the yield is going down. The question is the market going to pay for it or not? That's what we got to try to figure out. I know the window of seasonality for this price rally is still open, but once you get past May 1st, it starts to close. So we have 10 days. 10 days for potential rally on this wheat market, and then it's got to start looking at being a seller of all rallies. This is Eugene Grainer with Heartland Investor Capital Management. Hope you find this information and this pictorial tour useful.